Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the start of the seasonal rains of Karma in Djibouti. The Middle East, the challenges of workers in the exciting heat. Welcome to our newsroom. The Secretary General of the Prime Minister's Office, Naguib Abdallah Mohammed Kamil, today received the number 2 of the United Nations system in Djibouti, Mr. Nicolas Guinard, for a farewell visit. This farewell visit marks the end of Mr. Guinard's services on Djibouti soil. After Djibouti, he will join the OEF team in Paris. After a word of welcome, the Secretary General of the Prime Minister's Office, Naguib Abdallah Mohammed Kamil, praised the remarkable work of Mr. Nicolas Guinard during his missions in Djibouti. For his part, the number 2 of the United Nations system in Djibouti thanked the Secretary General for the welcomes he had received and his full contributions during his mission to Djibouti. For the past few days, the seasonal rains, commonly known as Karma or Qaran, has continued to fall on the capital Djibouti and inland regions. This morning, the capital's inhabitants wake up with their feet in the water. Last night's summer rains with the impressive flashes of lightning filled the city's main road. As we can see from these images, the main district of the Boulos were drenched by the rains, and this helped to bring down the temperatures, which were quite striking in August. Last night, during the rainstorms, the wind blew hard, and some material damage was reported in certain districts of the capital. In recent days, the seasonal rains, commonly known as Karma, have continued to fall heavily on the capitals. Neither Dorale, the commune of Balbala, nor Gabot 4 were spared from the downpours, adding to the challenges faced by residents whose streets bear witnesses to the intensity of the downpour. Structures such as the RTD stations in Dorale were also affected by the bad weather, adding to the challenges faced by residents. The rainfall helped to lower temperatures, which were exceptionally high for August. Indeed, Djibouti's unusual intense summer heat in August is tempered by this invigoratory rain, offering welcomes relief to the population. Yesterday evening, during the rainy period, powerful winds were blowing, adding dimensions of turbulence to the meteorological event. There were reports of some property damages in certain parts of the capital. The high winds may have caused some minor damages. It is important to note that such damages is usually a temporary consequences of intense weather conditions. Still on the subject of the recent seasonal rains that fell to the capital and its suburb, the sub-prefect of the 2nd district, Haibi Hared, proceeded this morning to the visit of the main arteries roads in the areas under his jurisdiction to get a close view of the situation, is accompanied by his close collaborators. This rain is saturated the city's major arteries, the city's main thoroughfares, causing the water's accumulations and traffic problems. In the town of Dekhel, 15 millimeters of rain fell. According to the National Meteo, precipitation was intense in the town this morning, and the people of Dekhel had their feet in the water. As you can see from these images shot by our correspondent, rainwater is pouring down the capital's main street, making it difficult for pedestrians to get out of the way. The rains are also reported to have drenched the go-back sectors and higher lying areas. According to the national meteorology, the rains were intense in the city this morning, and the people of Dakhil had their feet in the water, as you can see from these images shot by our correspondent. The rains are also reported to have drenched the Gob the sectors and highland areas. Bandara in the sub-prefectures received 50 millimeter. Gorabus on the corridors 15 millimeters, and Yoboki 19 millimeters in the other part of the region. Is the national meteo forecasts rains throughout the countries with the variations in rainfall. Arta city received 18 millimeters of rain. Arta region was well watered by the Karma rains with 50 millimeters at Pika 51 and Umar Jaga 15 millimeters for the Ali Sabih region. The Meteo Agency announced 9 millimeters in the town of Kabah and 19 in the north of the country. Traces of rains in the Obok regions and in Tajora 6 millimeters, Randa 9 millimeters, Sagalu on the coast 13 millimeters. In short, the Karma rain season that has just begun has affected all parts of the countries with the varying intensities. Following the intense rainfall accompanied by winds that swept across the countries this morning at around 2 p.m. is mainly attributable to the Khamsin winds. It is reassuring to note that Djibouti's port and free zone have not suffered the consequences of these aggressive weather conditions. Both the port authorities and all the staff took preventive measures to cope with these violent winds. Speaking to RTD, Mr. Abubakar Omar Haddi, chairman of the Port and Free Zone Authority, has stressed that these gusts of winds had caused material damage nor human injuries. He also explained that the winds originated in the Gulf of Tajora. This clearly demonstrated the effectiveness of the preparations of the protocol and put in place to cope with such weather conditions. The port authorities and their team acted promptly and professionally to ensure the safety of the infrastructure and people under their responsibility. Mohammed Musa Abbar, head of maritime operations, as you know, said Djibouti was hit by heavy rains last night and this morning, accompanied by violent winds covering distance of 2,005 to 205 to 2010 kilometers per hour to avoid any losses that could result from these rains and storms. We have mobilized our human materials and resources, especially as for our various ports received a large number of boats and ships. Our efforts have focused on the ship repairs vessels. Our country recently received an aquatic garages up to 15 meters wide and 200 meters long. We took these measures and precautions because we were aware of the weather situations. Having received the information from the National Meteorological Agency, it is important to note that every August and to see heavy rains accompanied by violent storms. The Adailu Inter-Regional Friendship Tournament came up to close on Friday, August 18, with the finals of the various disciplines. The tournament organizers ensured that these competitions took place under the best possible conditions and to commemorate and bring the tournament to 50 and an evening of musical entertainment was organized in the village of Adailu by the NGO EVA initiators and organizers of the tournament. The evening featured performance by artists such as Harbu Abuzid and Yahya Abdul Qadir, as well as local artists in front of an enthusiastic audience from all four corners of the country. Delegations from the interior region who took part in the friendship tournament, as well as the people of Adailu sub-prefectures and surrounding areas, were present in mass for the closing ceremony and the presentations of the trophy and awards. The president of the EVA Association, Mr. Ahmed Ali Mohammed, known as Kabir Hamad, took the floor to underline the success of the 11th Interzonal Friendship Tournament organized in Adailu by EVA. We are gathered here this evening to close the three-day international tournament in Adailu. Everything went off without a hitch, and tonight we are celebrating our victory together in a great atmosphere in the presence of all the young people from the 5 regions and Adailu who took part in this great event. President Ahmed Ali announced that the NGO EVA had been supported in organizing the 11th editions of the Adailu Friendship Festivals, and we thank the Ministry of Culture as our main partners. It was the NGO EVA that requested the support, and the Minister Dr. Hibo Mumin responded favorably to the NGO EVA's request. And to show her commitment, the Minister of Culture traveled to Adailu to take part in the event. In addition, the President added that several other partners had lent their support to the organizations of the 11th editions. We would like to thank them all. Then the organizers organized the trophy and award ceremony for the winners of the different disciplines. PARI, the Association for the Promotion of Inclusive Agro-Silvopastoralism, has planned the launch of its development of economic resilience and resources conserving rural activities project following an exhibition and sale of Weimas agricultural products with a particular focus on flagship products such as prickly pears, followed by a workshop including projections of the project summary and exchanges with other associations, and this Friday a visit to the project site. The project, entitled Participation of Civil Society in Local Governance and Development, aims to highlight the benefits of the prickly pear plant with the multiple benefits. Its overall aim is to raise the awareness of agro-pastoral stakeholders about the cultivations of this plant by showing them the benefit it offers. The launch of the project PARI Association is organizing various awareness raising activity as well as visits with the demonstrations and prickly pear cutting. This pioneering project is a real lever for local development and holds many opportunities for rural Djibouti beyond the Tajura regions. It is also important to understand the medium and long-term scope of this project, as it will contribute to the achievement of certain sustainable development goals in Djibouti Visions 2035. On August 15, 2023, SRD Gendarmes, supported by the colleagues from the PK 12 North Brigade, carried out a large-scale operations on the scrap metal market in response to numerous complaints from public interest services concerning the thief of manhole slabs. Indeed, in their quest for easy money, some delinquents don't hesitate to steal manhole slabs and water pipes to sell on the scrap metal market. However, to their great ignorance, their slabs are essentially made from iron, which has no value on the market, forcing them to get rid of them after a great deal of effort, not only to commit their crimes and also to transport them, not only is this criminal offense. It is also poses a serious risk to pedestrians who may fall into these slabs manholes, especially during the rainy seasons when they are no longer visible. During these operations, the gendarmes were able to seize 8 manhole slabs and apprehend 2 alleged perpetrators of these thief and concealment cases. Following the investigations, they were brought before the court to answer for their actions. The Gendarme's High Command takes this opportunity to reiterate the serious consequences that can result from the theft of these tiles and reaffirms the commitment of its judicial unit in the fight against these scourges. Still in the north of the country, Lana is on an audit of inspections towers of mineral water product plants, warehouses, and stores in the 5 regions of the interior. This activity is part of the regular monitoring and surveillance programs of the quality of foodstuffs consumed by the populations of these regions. After the southern region, Lana Laboratory Mobile Brigade of Quality and Food Safety Engineer and senior technicians visited the Obok region's inspector from Lana's Mobile Brigade. In collaboration with the prefectures and elements of the gendarmerie were able to control the various point of sales of foodstuffs, namely large warehouse stores and food retailers. To this end, the laboratory health inspectors noted a number of infringements relating to storage, preservation, and expiring dates. With this in mind, the health inspectors provided advices, made retailers aware of the standards enforced, and supported them in implementing good hygiene, conservation, and storage practices. Finally, Lana's mission is to ensure all appropriate safety and hygiene measures at all points of sales of foodstuffs to protect consumers' health. In this afternoon issue of our magazine, we will be talking about local production. It's a sector that is a fuel of future and therefore constitute a sustainable alternative in the fight against unemployment and poverty in both rural and urban areas. Here is a magazine from the redactionist. Listen to Dini Musa.
Faced with the reality of galloping globalization, how can we reconcile openness and protection? At this time, this question is posed to all governments around the world. In a world that has become a global village, how to reverse this trend by giving much more value to products made in Djibouti. Today, local production is a sector full of the future and therefore constitutes a sustainable alternative in the fight against unemployment and poverty in rural and urban areas. In recent years, the appearance of small and medium-sized enterprises has changed the situation. Some of these VSMEs produce soaps, chalks, brooms, pens, honey from the Mobile region. Others are in the field of agribusiness. They deliver fruit and vegetables to the capital. Fruits and vegetables from the region of Asamo, Tajarra, or the gardens of Duda. A novelty that has been making its way for some time, the objective being at a time when we were reversing this trend is more than ever a prerogative in order to promote the Made in Djibouti, a strategy aimed at encouraging the production and consumption of local products in Djibouti. The objective being to stimulate local production, create jobs, reduce poverty, and develop the local economy against food insecurity and reduce the country's dependence on imports and to strengthen the resilience of the local economy in the face of external shocks. Driven by a collective will at its highest level, this is how the government will launch the National Agribusiness Show to stimulate the potential of local agribusiness, with the aim of stimulating the potential of local agribusiness and putting light on the productions of the regions. From the outset, this 2022 agribusiness fair brought together 100 farmers from 36 cooperatives from all regions and 11 Djiboutian agri-tech companies. For 3 days, the Esplanade of the People's Palace was full of flavors and unsuspected discoveries thanks to the diversity of agricultural products and many innovative products. It was a question of producers from all the regions of Djibouti presenting their market gardening products such as sweet potatoes, eggplants, peppers, and fruit trees such as juafas, lemonos, and bogoberants, and etc. But also aloe vera, honey, cheese, stevia, camel milk, tea, spread, And finally, many innovative agri-tech ideas, such as hydroponics, the digital intelligence system to monitor the temperature and humidity inside the greenhouses, and the national toothbrush, which impressed the guests. In sum, this National Agri-Business Fair has highlighted the potential of local production, but also the challenge of sustainable and resilient agriculture to promote market access and improve the livelihoods of local producers. In particular, she highlighted the fact that the farmers in agriculture must be business oriented and go beyond subsistence farming. The products are impressive, but the farmers must get a fair price and be in a commercial dynamic. Today, this idea seduces more and more people. A proximity between consumer and seller has created a dynamic and a proximity. A human proximity that rhymes with economic revitalization, but also a geographical proximity. But it is up to us to participate in economic development and create jobs while consuming local, because today consuming local is a real aspiration for consumers who favor the Djiboutian know-how.
The Hungarian capital Budapest has been hosting the World Athletics Championship since yesterday, the big step before the Paris 2024 Olympic erected on the scorching banks of the Danube in the southern part of the Hungarian capital. For 9 days, the world's best athletes will be pacing the tracks of the Hungarian capital Grand Stadium. We have 3 athletes competing in the Budapest World Championship. Mohamed Ismail, known as Fatah, in the 5,000 meter. He will take part in the 5,000 competition scheduled for August 24, and other Djibouti athletes will be taking part in the marathon event scheduled for August 27, also in Budapest. They are Ibrahim Hassanbouh, known as Ugas Hassan Wa'is. These 2 athletes were preparing for the Romeo Founts of altitude between France and Barcelona. In Tanzania, at the Azam Complex Stadium, the Djibouti Arta Solar 7 team beat the Horsed team from Somalia by a severe score of 3-0 in their first pre-qualifications match for the CAF qualifying cup. The match took place this afternoon at around 5 p.m. and the opening goal for Arta Solar was scored by Yakuba, followed by Alain Traoré. Double bravo. It is a huge victory for the Arta Solar team, who will play the return legs on August 24, 2023. Tomorrow there will be another matches between the Djibouti and Djibouti Telecom teams and Tanzania team. For the international scene, in a thrilling and hotly contested final, Spain emerged as a champions of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023, beating England's goal proved that to be the decisive moment of the matches, securing Spain's first ever Women's World Cup title. The match showcased. After receiving a princely welcomes on his arrival in Saudi Arabia, Neymar was presented in style to the fans of his new club Al Hilal on Saturdays at Riyadh's King Fahd International Stadium. The 31-year-old Brazilian strikers appeared on the pitch in a sumptuous setting and in front of 60,000 boisterous fans. 100 million euro per season. We will organize a big party worthy of the samba dancers. He is warned at Al Hilal officials ahead of time. On Friday, welcomed in Riyadh airport lounges with the reinforced security for the occasions and filled with the representative of the clubs and the press. He presented himself with a large diamond set cross hanging from his neck as he posed for photos. And in the Middle East, the challenge of working in sweltering heat, working in temperatures up of 50 degrees Celsius has become an ordeal for many workers in the parts of the Middle East and North Africa, particularly hard hit by the effects of climate change. Listen to Dini Musa for more details.
Temperatures of up to 50 degrees Celsius has become an ordeal for many workers in parts of the Middle East and North Africa, particularly hard hit by the effects of climate change. In Tunisia, Syria, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, working conditions have been extremely difficult due to the intense heat. In Syria, Murad Haddad and his brothers work in their forge, making iron objects. They have to get up early to avoid the high temperatures and work by the fire for several hours despite the scorching heat. In Tunisia, Munija Debouji grows vegetables such as peppers and watermelons. To escape the heat, she starts work very early in the morning and walks several kilometers to reach her field. She hopes to finish before the temperatures become unbearable.
And to close up this edition, even heat waves in southern France, an intense heat wave is affecting the south of France. Listen for more details to Dini Musa.
Heat wave is affecting the south of France, with temperatures exceeding 40 Celsius in 49 departments, placed on orange alert by Meteo France. The alert covers a large southern half of the country from Basse-Rhine to Gironde. High temperatures are set to persist into next week, with a peak expected between Monday and Wednesday, followed by a drop. This heat wave is caused by a heat dome, a vast anticlonic zone trapping warm air and heating it by compression. The consequences are manifold. Bisson-Fouté has classified Sunday as red for return journeys, causing traffic jams. Authorities are urging caution, particularly for vulnerable people. Preventive health measures have been stepped up, with facilities to help the frail. Municipalities are encouraging people to use cool places such as swimming pools and libraries.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.